So my name is Thierry. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm also the inventor of a yoga apparatus called Beam Block. And that apparatus is what got me into wanting to be on the Dragon's Den. So I appeared on the Dragon's Den in 2015. And that was a great experience. I had dreamt of being on Dragon's Den for years. I had seen every single series. I was on series 13, so I had seen 12 series. And I could see myself there. So I invented Beam Block, and then of course I wanted it to be big. So I applied, and the first time I applied, I got rejected, and I was so disappointed. But then I applied again a couple of years later, and I got through, and I got on the show. Yeah, I was so ready. I was so focused. I was so ready. I was so determined to make a good impression, and I did. I got 3 offers out of 5 dragons, which is pretty decent, I think. Peter Jones was interested. Tucker Sullivan was interested. So in the end, I went with them too. They shared the investment with me, £50,000. And I was expecting a lot from that partnership. I was expecting a lot. In fact, you know, after the show, once I got the investment, once we shook hands, I went to see them backstage, and they said, "Thierry, we're going to make you a millionaire." And well, today I'm bankrupt. We shook hands on the show, and then I didn't hear anything for quite a bit, at least 3 months, from memory, more or less 3 months. And that was me hoping they were putting things in place for me, getting ready to get the ball rolling and make this a success. I did get the money, which was, we agreed on £50,000 based on 50% equity, which meant, to me, this meant we both do equal amount of work, and together we work hard and make this a success, and we share the profit. That's what 50% really means. But it was not like that, because apart from me doing stuff, there was not really much else happening. I was expecting them to introduce me to people. I was expecting them to put me in front of potential buyers. I was expecting them to get me on stage so I can show my greatness. There was none of that. So I originally thought it was an investment, but then I soon realized that it was a loan. And in fact, when we parted, they clearly said that, you know, the money had to be paid back. So that was an additional stress after we parted, because then I had to repay £50,000 of money that I didn't have. So that didn't help with my mental health and everything else that followed the split, the business, you know, relationship split. So they invited me to attend a meeting, and basically said that, well, Thierry, we are no longer interested in working with you. I mean, roughly it was along those lines. Yeah. And we highly recommend that you give up yourself. My life was a mess after the split. After we parted, I got really down, depressed. I started doing drugs. I started this journey of self-destruction because I felt worthless. They had told me I wasn't good enough to make it a success, and I believed it. And even though I managed to make a few sales, I still had that meeting in my head, and I had this really strong sense of worthlessness within me and sense of failure. I felt that I had not been able to keep them interested in me and keep them interested in my project. So it felt like a failure. It felt like it was the end of the world, the end of my dream, the end of my life. And I was on this path of self-destruction, taking drugs, going out, doing all these things that little by little make it even worse. I felt even worse. I felt even more worthless. I felt even more useless. So the more I took drugs, the worse it got. And there was one day I wanted to commit suicide, and I took so many drugs that I ended up in hospital with heart palpitations and all that kind of stuff. They kept me for like 12 hours. So it was tough. It was really tough. I also ended up in custody for 12 hours because the police arrested me for drug possession, and I ended up in custody for 12 hours. That was another traumatic experience. Me, the yoga instructor, the guy into fitness, into well-being, into living clean, in custody for drug possession. I was just a shadow of myself. Yeah. And it's all down to Dragon's Den. I've turned things around through using my willpower. I did not want to be that person, that person that takes drugs, that kills themselves. I shifted, my mindset shifted, and I went into recovery mode. Yeah, and I started doing the right thing. I did do courses to help with my drug misuse issues. I also did some CBT courses, cognitive behavior therapy, which uses a lot of the power of the words you use to dictate your behaviors and the way you feel. Very important. The NHS has been amazing. I mean, my GP has been amazing. The NHS has been amazing. I felt my recovery was very much supported by my community. Yeah, which again was a very different experience than the one I had with the BBC and the dragons I worked with. The dragons left me totally battered. I had to rebuild myself. I had to work hard on rebuilding myself, reprogramming myself mentally first, right? Undoing what I had created. All these self-destructive behaviors had to be deconstructed, and new, healthier behaviors had to be reintroduced to my head so that I could move forward. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster. So I started with that, yeah, and then gradually I was able to bring my healthy lifestyle back into my life, healthy eating. I started exercising again, and gradually I started feeling like me again. It took a while. It did not happen overnight. And especially at the moment, because I'm also dealing with my mental health condition, which is personality disorder. So I've got to juggle all these things together, bring my mindset back to a healthy place, bring my body back to a healthy place, and manage my mental health condition at the same time. So there's a lot to juggle with. But I'm doing it. And there's no way I'm going to go back to the Dragon's Den's, days. And I'm happy it happened, because now I am the person I am because of that, But I think they have to be careful, because I was strong enough to survive this. But maybe, somebody else could really pay a heavy price from the interaction or the lack of interaction with either the BBC or the Dragons. So now I have created a social enterprise called Barnet Yoga Circle. And the idea is to help others who also suffer from mild mental health issues, like me, or stress, anxiety, depression. The idea is to help them deal with their condition better. So through teaching them, I heal myself. Yeah, and that's the idea. We started last year, and already the classes are doing well. Obviously now, with COVID-19, the classes are limited to 5 people, and we also do some class online for people who feel more comfortable doing yoga from home. But I'm very passionate about the project, because I think it's essential to help people in our community. We are also introducing those classes through GP referrals, which will broaden the scope of the project. So I'm really excited. So, I've been able to turn my life around from a very bad experience, and I've turned it into a very healthy, impactful project that can not only help me, but also the community I live in.